the special meeting of the Saugatuck Township Board for Wednesday, May 30th, 2018. We'll call the meeting to order, and you'll join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd like a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I move we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public comments. We'll start with the first row. Anybody would like to make any public comments? Welcome to. General. Second row. Third row. Let you know that.
Whoa. What are we here for? Really?
Okay,
Is
so
this comments or questions?
this is general comments, and then if you're here for specifically for the Pepperbrook subdivision,
Yeah.
that's it. That is going to be a public hearing where you'll have another chance to speak.
Okay.
You can speak to both times if you'd like. Okay?
Are you going to give details?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
Okay. Absolutely. We're going to spend a lot of time on that. That's the purpose of this meeting. Anyone else? Any public comment? All right. Let's move on to old business, the Saugatuck Township Fire District 2018-2019 budget. We've requested some information which has been disseminated to everybody, had a chance to review. So we'll go ahead and open up for any discussion or questions regarding the budget.
I would just make a comment that we did ask for information concerning career firefighters, a breakdown of that lump sum, especially since townships and the cities and so forth always break down the various employees that are full-time and salaried, and we did not, as I understand it, receive that. So I just want to get that on the record.
Yeah, Peter came in and talked to me about that, but he said it was the chief's discretion. He didn't have to put that out.
Well, in a sense, then we didn't get it.
We didn't get it, no.
But I guess there's an issue for a later date.
Any other discussion on the budget? If not, I will I'll put a motion on the table to accept the.
I have a question.
So we can't ask questions on this right now, but if the board would like to entertain a question, I'd be happy to do so.
Just have public comment.
Pardon me?
Just have public comment.
So what the board would like to do is just have public comment, which you'll be able to comment on the budget at the end of the meeting under public comments. So the motion is to approve the budget.
There's a first, Chris, for you on the table. There's already a motion for discussion. There's a second.
Chris
Right.
made the motion.
Right. So I'm looking for a second.
Second.
So anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion. So I'll call for a vote. Do we want a roll call vote or just straight up? Anybody have any? Then I'll say motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
It's a unanimous voice vote for approval of the STF.
Right. Now we have new business, public hearing, Pepperbrook subdivision roadwork, which all you are here for. Aaron, you want to give some background on this? And I think you have some drawings. I don't know if you want me to bring those up.
So now we would have it's kind of a subsection of the meeting where we have a hearing, and the point of that is to get away from the other items of business specifically and talk about your road projects. In this project, there are two. There is the road resurfacing project, which essentially is a 20-foot asphalt replacement of the existing road. And then there is a 1-foot gravel shoulder that's compacted to the edge of the asphalt to keep that asphalt away from crumbling and stuff at the edge. It's essentially the same project you've had before, but your time is due to get a new road. You've been paying your county taxes, hence your county services on that road. It is a public road, and you have not gotten any gravel or asphalt treatment since. I don't know, Chris, the last time, but it's been a long time. So now is your time. So we are doing that, and then on top of that, you also pay in this municipality 2 extra mills. They have been rolled back over the years, but it's about 2 mills total on top of what you pay for your county road projects and things. So what that allows for is for your projects to come sooner to your neighborhood, and that's what is occurring now for your roads. And then also there are 2 cul-de-sacs involved in the project from the original design. If you look on the whiteboard there, if you want to get up and take a look at it, I put them up here.
Let's bring it up.
Yeah, we can move it up. I wasn't sure if there'd be a lot more people in the front or what, but it's got scale drawings of the roads and the cul-de-sacs. Got that? And the county designs these, but we order up the project. And what it would involve is today talking about the cul-de-sacs apart from the road project itself. They would require a work order for the cul-de-sac work, and that's to improve the street ends. I think you have a property there, because I was taking a look at it. And then, I don't know, Kukaldes, are you on the other end, or are you just on in the subdivision?
You talking about Cadillac,
Or,
Ryan? Ryan?
I'm sorry, not
Kalaki?
Kalaki, I'm sorry.
No, we're not on the cul-de-sac.
Because I know Ron's
We're on
place
Crescent,
owns
but
that
not on the
property
cul-de-sac.
on the end here. And the end cul-de-sac is the smaller one of the 2. And they have a design to utilize a larger part of the right-of-way on the end of that street. So that's what's shown on this drawing. On that property there's like the railroad ties are there about halfway up the driveway on that property. And if we go out there and Craig and the engineer from the road commission, Craig's the managing director now, he can now walk you out there and show you exactly where the planned asphalt edge is. But they're really calling out a design that would use that whole spot that's on the plan drawing.
No, you're going to take my land away from me.
No, the land would be from the edge of the asphalt about up the existing drive about 20 feet. That's planned there. But that's why they're here to talk to you about it. If you want that done, if you don't, now is the time to talk about it at the public hearing. So,
There are only two houses in that cul-de-sac. The rest of the property is all vacant. There is no basic traffic in there, other than the once-a-week garbage truck that comes in.
Get names and,
Why don't we have, in that interact, why don't you come up and speak to us on the mic so we can get your comments down? I think it's important. And also any questions you want to ask, this is a good time to do it. So I think before you start, you should also describe the basis for why this should be widened.
yeah. Well, at the end of the public street, there are 2 non-existing cul-de-sacs. There is a right-of-way for the street that it was supposed to be designed to have that cul-de-sac there. That's why the right-of-way is there. Now, if they want to use the full right-of-way to expand the cul-de-sac that is there now, it's not a true cul-de-sac where you can turn around a vehicle in. You can't turn around an emergency vehicle in, without going on your driveway that is there now. But that's what's platted in the original subdivision. That's what's there. If your driveway comes into the platted right-of-way and connects to the drive, that doesn't mean that the right-of-way is gone. It just means that you have constructed a driveway through the right-of-way to connect to the existing road. But the right-of-way does not dissolve. So it's really a question of whether or not, it's not like they have to do it, but if you want to bring it up to a standard that is, say, if you were to design the subdivision now, then it would have a cul-de-sac. And the newer subdivisions built after Pepperbrook do have these types of cul-de-sacs. So it's up for the board to decide, if you really want to use the existing right-of-way that is there now, that is currently.
Right away is the cul-de-sac, is what you're talking about. You're not
Yeah.
gonna put another road in
No,
going
no,
to
no.
65th Street.
No, just the cul-de-sac is just a turnaround
Yeah,
there.
right.
In the platted
It doesn't need
turnaround
to be
area.
larger because I have big vehicles and I can turn around in there.
Okay, so let's have you state your name for the record, sir, and then, so we can,
My name's Ron Cadillac with a K, K-A-D-L-E-C.
and your address?
My home address is 6548 128th Avenue.
Thank you.
Is that the subject's parcel though?
No, this,
No.
Okay.
No.
His 21 there
N-
on
your-
the
Your
end.
section 21, okay.
Yeah, Ronald's has
All right.
income property. But I mean, there's about a third of that whole driveway is in that platted cul-de-sac. So I mean, that's a big concern for you on that lot.
Well, where the railroad ties are, when you're talking about,
Yeah,
and
about,
the gravel was
Yeah.
the people that owned the property 15 years ago.
Mhm.
He was heating and air conditioning man. He
Mhm.
parked his truck on that gravel.
Yeah,
That's the reason.
yeah, see, that's
Yeah,
about
right.
where the cul-de-sac is supposed to extend to on that plat. The driveway is not the boundary of that front yard. It's about where those railroad ties are. On that map, it's there, on that drawing, Ron. Yeah, like if you look here, he's got the driveway here, see? And here's the square, here's the plat, and here's the original, see right here? But what he did is he engineered and showed the existing here, and then the expanded cul-de-sac is this square right here. And that drive is about 27 feet from the edge in would be the new edge of that cul-de-sac. But not all the way here, and there isn't a road connecting on that plan. But that's what that is there, this. And then the other one is off of Crescent Drive towards the north. But it's within that original boundary of Pepperbrook. I'm not the engineer, but
Yeah,
I was,
I kind of
I asked him to
disagree
be
with
here,
this,
but-
but
yeah.
I have a question that helps, I think. As I understand it, that's why I want to ask it as a question. From a public safety standpoint, fire trucks need more space than just a large pickup truck. And if we were to, like was said earlier, if we were to build that today, it would have to have a much larger, the type of a cul-de-sac we're talking about. I face the same thing on a road I've got. It's much too small for fire trucks to make a turn. So is that the case right now?
Yeah, I mean, that is spec
understand.
for a modern day full-size cul-de-sac, that drawing there, Ron.
So,
But it's within that platted square. It's not on the private property, the asphalt part of the cul-de-sac. So if they were to build that today, Pepperbrook, there would probably be an accessory route planned and other things beyond just expanded cul-de-sacs. you know, it would go through a planning process indeed, but, I mean, now, there is the platted room there, and we have the available funds to improve it. You know, and that's an improvement to those properties. It's just my
Well,
opinion.
you got here 27 feet, and that's up my driveway, so you're almost at my house.
Well, no, it's about up to where those railroad ties are, from the edge of that
Well,
asphalt.
what you're showing you what's here now,
Mhm.
and he's got from here to the end is 27 feet.
Mhm.
That's right up by my house.
No, it's not up to the house. It's about up to where the railroad ties are.
That must be all easement then, right?
Yeah,
I don't think you're, in a
house
subdivision like
is-
that, there is any easement. Our property runs right to the road.
no, there isn't an easement through that lot. That's the platted or right of way of the subdivision. That's a drawing, and that's the one on the left there, Ron.
When they made the road, they did make it as big as they could have. That's why the road is smaller than it is now. It could extend more towards the property. They just didn't build it all the way out when they built it.
Yeah, the property
That helps.
owners have encroached on the easement, is what happens.
Like right on the picture here, there's a picture of it. Because it's really,
This one or this
it's the part where, it's this picture right here. Like here. That. This area was originally all gravel. See, what they did is they only did an asphalt in part of the square here, see? But they didn't fill this square with asphalt.
Here was done by the owner of the property prior to.
Yeah, prior to it, because that's what was there originally, see? On
He
this
put
ground
that in.
here,
Oh, okay.
see? It's all within that square there, but there isn't an easement or
If
anything.
if this is what you say is there now,
Yeah,
and 27 feet from there, it's up the driveway.
it's about to right where the railroad ties are there.
You come here, 27 feet. That area there is maybe 12 feet.
Well, it's about up to right where that is. I mean, he can take you out there and look, and if you want to go look at with him, I mean, that's what it is. And that's what the map shows. But I'm just here to show you that there's no easements or anything on this drawing at all. It's all within the platted right-of-way of the subdivision. The whole project, it isn't on private property.
Is this the reason in the last 3 years that they've been plowing snow up into my front yard and up to the garage?
Yeah. It's because they don't have a proper turnaround there. So then it's probably why
We never had any problems until the last 3 years.
yeah.
Anybody around here has been complaining about plowing? No complaints? Nobody complain about
Yeah, we
plowing?
got a lot in our yard. We went out there in the winter.
Russ, I come straight up the road, there's nothing north of me where they could push the snow. They don't push it south of my other neighbor. They could just come straight up and block my driveway. You know, I've been going along with this. I called the county on it. They said, well, the township has something to do with a private concern taking care of Pepperville. Can't get a straight answer.
Yeah, that's not correct at all. I mean, the county takes care of your road.
It's a county road.
When somebody's got a small vehicle and all they're doing is making a mess. So you're going to take advantage of it, fine. And you can fix it all I want too.
Yeah, I mean, they will take care of the restoration. If there's anything involved in a project that's involved in the right of way, restoration's a major part of it. You know, and that's the part where they want to make sure that they return it to the same condition or even better.
Well, I don't know, there aren't enough people here. Anybody else live in Pepperbrook? That's here? You live, I don't.
About 5 houses down from me. I'm right near where Pepperbrook comes into Wintergreen,
Oh, okay.
just a little bit. Up on the little.
I think it's grandfather's closet, and you leave it just the way it is. You widen things, you make things bigger, you got more traffic, more messing around, more problems.
So just so you know, with respect to all the other roads in the subdivision, those are all they're going to be the same width, 20 feet. They're going to add a little bit of a shoulder, which is a foot of gravel. And that was there before the grass grew into it. And that's all we're doing everywhere else, just so you're aware of that. These cul-de-sacs were being addressed specifically because to make sure there's enough room to turn around, especially for fire emergencies. So if the truck had to go get more water and come back, it could turn around quickly, get in and out quickly. Also for the county trucks. So if you don't want to that, or if you don't have enough information, or you don't want that, that's something we should probably take into consideration and either get the county engineers to meet with Ron at his property and go over it and just really make sure he has a thorough understanding of what's going to be done.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this hearing. It's not to say we're doing it.
Right, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Make sure you leave your phone number with Ron, I couldn't find it.
yeah. Well, we're going to go knock on your door today, but we're still at work. But we did want to make sure that you understood what was going on. So thanks for coming. That's the purpose of this hearing, is for us to understand.
Well, I've owned the property there, it's over 3 or 4, and the first time I ever got a letter from the township. And I think the road in there has been repaved 3 years ago? 4
No,
years
I was
ago,
a
when they did-
trustee.
When
It
they
was a long
did
time ago.
65th Street, they came
No,
in and they did
they
it.
haven't paved Pepperbrook in 15 years
Yeah, it's
plus.
been a long time.
Not
I don't think
since
they've
I've
paved it
been-
since I've been there, Ron, and, we've been there for,
It hasn't been
since
paved around
2010.
since
Oh, I think they're wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
it's-
But I'm saying, we never got anything from the township. They just came in and did it.
Well, do you want a
The
new
time
road?
I've owned the property, only twice.
Yeah. So, you've been paying taxes to have a new road all this time. Sure.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow up with you. Let's get your phone number, make sure we have that before you leave. Get the county engineers out to walk through this with you and Aaron, and I'll even attend also. Okay, so what do you want to go on?
Yeah, they can flag it and show you around it
Right.
if you want. I can call them and they can take you out there and show it. I mean, you're the principal landowner on that cul-de-sac, so they want to make sure that you're aware of all the boundaries and everything,
And the other cul-de-sac at the other end, there isn't a house there.
There isn't. That one's not going to be a problem, most likely. The one thing I do want everyone to know is that we're not going to start the entire project until we get some decision on what we want to do with the cul-de-sacs. So they won't start resurfacing all the other roads. But when they do that part, I'm guessing a day or two,
It's really quick in the subdivision.
very quick. They'll be in and out.
It's gonna look great.
Mailboxes, if they have to be relocated, I don't think that's an issue, but if they do, they will do that for you.
It's crowning too, they flatten it. It's gonna
Water
look
won't pool on
great
it.
when it's all done. There's always a hassle and there's always a few delays, it seems. But when it's all done, it's gonna look like a brand new road. It is gonna be one.
And I think it adds to the, just overall, it improves the entire subdivision. There are some parts on some of the roads I've walked through there where they're just starting to crumble and break up.
So what type of asphalt are we talking about here?
They got it on the sheet. It's a premium. I think it's 13A is the grade of it. But it's a 2-inch
Good stuff.
layer. Yeah, it's a premium grade asphalt that they use for the public roads. It's got to hold up to your full size utility trucks, garbage trucks. It's a premier project with expanded turnarounds, and it's going to flatten the road, and you have multiple potholes there now, where in this township, because we have our special millages, we have great roads, and then you drive on Pepperbrook and there's no comparison at all. Why is this road so bad? It's a public street and you're paying for that benefit, and you are over 15 years past on that road, and typically like 8 is
I would-
our norm.
I would expect that this road, given the type of traffic you see, it'd be good for another 15 years at least, if not more.
Okay, along the road, how about trimming some of the trees?
Yeah,
Maybe
they-
breaking up. Anything,
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah,
Oh,
they-
yeah, it's growing in terribly. You get one
That's
lane
part
over
of the
there.
thing, is they take that envelope all the way up too. You know, and you can add those items in the contingencies to do some extra tree removal. That was actually done on Indian Point Drive, where we added a cul-de-sac as well, or a turnaround in the public. It was another public street a few years ago that just stopped. And trucks had started to go on private property to create their own turnaround and utility vehicles and things. So we added an upgraded cul-de-sac up there too, and it all worked out well now. But they added tree removal to that project too.
But we don't have that in this project.
Not as much, but.
So
I mean,
historically, just so you know,
Yeah.
probably you and I think it's a good idea to get trees away from the road so you don't run into them or they fall on it. Some people get really upset when you do that to their trees, so it can be a good and bad
that
thing.
could be called out.
As long as they're not hitting the vehicle as you drive by.
Right.
Yeah, well, they don't
I
want
call it the
that
average
either.
car wash, yeah. So, does anybody else have some comments? Are you done with your comments, or?
Okay.
Sir,
May I?
please. Just state your name and address for the record. Thank you, Ron, for your comments.
I'm Jim Clackey, 2815 Crescent Street there. Aaron, take a drive Blue Star Highway from the Shell Station down in M89 during a real bad thunderstorm.
Okay.
I don't want to drive on that road.
On Blue Star, south of M89?
No, north.
Okay.
That's Warren. The way on the right tire, the way it puddles when you're going in that way. The base underneath was never done right.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot worse than our streets have ever looked.
Uh-huh.
I just noticed that last week when I was coming back from Battle Creek. I went over to the Shell Station to get newspapers and I started driving in that downpour. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like you're hydroplaning all the way.
Is that the south part from M89 to Douglas?
Pardon me?
On the south part of our stretch of Blue Star?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
M89 to Douglas?
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't got down there yet.
I don't know
That's
who did
county
that.
primary road though.
Yeah.
It's on the county's resurfacing schedule, which it is a massive budget, but they have a lot more projects to consider. But we can bring that to the resurfacing meeting.
We should
Well,
also-
do
we should let them know.
that. That just clicked in my head when you said that. You
Yeah.
know, the roads are better, but I just the other day drove that and I was amazed at that.
It's an
You know, it looks like it was almost
expensive
intentionally done, the way the water goes up to the white line on the shoulder, you know, and that's where the water sets. You know, it's something else. I think I know the answer to this question now, but what is the easement from the center of the road?
for this.
Yeah.
I think it's a 66 foot. It's on the survey there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a standard
Okay,
full right of way.
Okay, so 66 foot. And currently the roads are 20 feet?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So you're not using, they're still 13 feet. Okay. Is there gonna be anything about encroachment paving or anything done like that?
No, it's all on the right of way. There is no private property encroachments. Now, the.
Well, that isn't private property. I'm talking about, you know, you still got 13, well, you say it's gonna be, the road's gonna be 20 foot and then a foot on each side.
No, it's 20.
So that's only 22 feet.
You know, it's 20 feet now. So
Yeah.
the envelope of the asphalt is gonna stay,
Yeah,
the same.
okay.
And then they're gonna add or replace new gravel to the gravel that is there now but overgrown. So
Okay.
it's gonna be essentially the same size of a road, but new.
Yeah,
Flat,
okay, I understand.
New asphalt, like without the potholes and the cracks.
Yeah, okay, so nothing's gonna be addressed as far as the right of way, other than,
No.
we're talking 11 feet on either side from center.
That's
Yeah.
correct. There
Yeah.
was nothing else that could be
Okay.
addressed.
Yeah, There's not another lane going or anything like
Well,
that.
no, that isn't my concern. My concern is, drainage, which I'll get to
Mhm.
a little bit later, okay? Is there any standard for the remaining right-of-way when an owner wants to pave it or blacktop it or whatever out to the road?
Well, you're not,
You see what I'm driving at?
yeah, like you're not supposed to do concrete driveway in Allen County at least. It's the old road commission standard. You're not supposed to do a concrete driveway in the part of the right of way because when they come to remove the top coat off,
They're gonna cut in.
the saws that they use to cut the asphalt can get damaged from the harder concrete. But again, it happens, but the road commission just had that on Lakeshore Drive where they just paved the brand new part of Lakeshore Drive there on the north side of the washout. And there was that large home that was constructed there and they had built a concrete driveway all the way in. And then the road commission called that out and they made them excavate it out and do either a brick or aggregate gravel or asphalt. So they ask you not to because
But,
they're not liable to replace it. So,
I mean, if I win the lottery, I'm gonna get a concrete driveway.
well, you don't want to put it in the right of way
I
though
know,
in Allen County.
now I know. Okay. Is there an original drainage plan for Pepperbrook?
Like when it was
I'm not
originally
aware of it.
constructed,
Yeah,
I can look, but
and is it gonna be, is it gonna be reviewed in terms of drainage there?
not as opposed to the street project. I mean, the county designs the street project,
Yeah.
but they're not going to take on a new drainage project to do a new street project to just put new asphalt down.
It
It's
appears the
not
last time
okay.
they did it though, I mean, they created some problems.
Well, they haven't paved this road.
It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time since they put any money in this road.
Well, I know that, but there's at least one place I'm aware of whenever it rains, it's, I mean, it's right there on the road. Just-
Yeah,
Is that because the road sank or something? I mean, so, I mean, I guess nobody's gonna really review it, any kind of drainage.
when they designed the road, I know there was that comment too and some pictures made. When they design the road, they take into account all of those things, elevation and the drainage, and they choose how to protect their road within the right of way. So if they call out drainage or some kind of a swale, it's on the engineer to design the road properly and up to the public standard. Not over the public standard, but up to a public standard to keep that road in a usable state
I
for,
understand, I understand.
20 to 15 years. But, we don't design the roads here. We pay the county to design the road project.
Yes,
And-
but we're the ones that use,
Well, yeah.
we're the ones that
You
live
pay
with it.
for it too.
Yeah, well, I know, because I have a low spot on my property, and that gets a lot of water, okay, and that probably shouldn't, but it does. I'm on the east side of Crescent, and all the houses there were built up took dirt from the back of the lots and built it up, so that isn't the natural elevation there, and I think there were even streams flowing down into there. And so we get a lot of water down there. And I do have a place, I call it what do I call it? My frog hole or something, but I have a drain in it that drains out to the back, but it's real slow. And I'm just wondering, any change in grade, I'm just wondering what it's going to do. I'm glad you told us that you're going to move our mailboxes. That's correct, if they need to be moved.
If they need to be, absolutely. Yeah, that's not on you, that's on the road.
But not my plants.
Have you planted plants right next to the road?
Yes. At the mailbox and right along the hole to try to cover it up,
Yeah.
I mean, I can get somebody out there to move it for me, but, just one.
What we can do is give advance notice as to when the project's going to
That
start.
would be nice, that would.
Give enough time to prepare. But yes, if I've had the county road commission knock down my mailbox when they were plowing and put a new one in, so they're
Good.
pretty good about that.
But they don't pick up your trash.
They don't pick up my trash, I have to pay for that. Or take it over to your place.
Yeah. Okay, so all the funds are already available for this? No increases in taxes, no
Yeah,
getting
you-
bonds or anything?
Now it's your chance to get some of those tax dollars
Taking a
back.
long time to get it done, you know?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Who's doing the work?
That's a bit, name is there, it's a little bit, it's on Michigan paving or Michigan blacktop. Michigan's paving and materials.
Okay, yeah, I just saw this tonight. Yeah, we just got back from out west, and this thing was in our mailbox, but the township didn't mail out anything, right? This was
We mailed out.
Didn't mail it.
You did.
was a mail.
Yeah.
Karen, let me see that. This was in our mailbox, there was no address on it. Yeah, I mean, it was folded up. You
Yeah,
know,
that was mailed to you by the post office. By the postal
I'll have to
service.
look at the file of mail I'm still going through.
Oh, we have the affidavits of mailing to the
Yeah.
office if you want to see the date they were mailed.
Oh, no, so so this question, I was gonna ask about storm drain systems and all that, we're not even talking about anything like that.
It's just the road and.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have for now.
Tim, do you want Aaron to reach out to you when they're out there, or would you want to be present if, like, for instance?
Oh, yeah, I just like to know,
Okay.
It's
in
always a
advance
good
what the start
idea,
date
yeah.
is gonna be and
Yeah.
all that,
And we'll get to the name of
Yeah.
the company as well as who's going to be the lead guy if you have any questions, and they're good
no,
about.
I'm just thinking about my plans and all of that.
Yeah, like part of the walkthrough. Would you like to be part of the walkthrough?
Yeah, I'd like them to look at
So
my,
we'll get your number as well.
it's only gonna be a foot to gravel.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's essentially the same road. It's just, you are getting a new asphalt surface.
And where the grass has grown into the gravel, that's going to become new gravel until the grass grows into it again.
Yeah, I'd like to notice on that, just, ask them about the
We'll
plans
get
and all
your
that,
number.
and anything that comes up.
They do is in the process too, is you'll start to see the markers out there. And what they'll do is they'll mark the right of way, and then we'll be able to see Ron, if we schedule that time too with the engineer, Jason Edwards is his name, can come out there and get you together and he can walk you through the whole project. We asked him to be here tonight too. It's kind of why I'm not an engineer, but I got the project out there and we've spoken, the board about it to the engineer a lot, and it's, as far as projects goes, it's relatively simple because the road is not expanding. You are getting a new road.
Well, we're
It's
getting a cap
yeah.
on the road, in essence.
Well, no, it's
They're gonna tear it up.
It's going to be a new. Well, he's not going to scarify it all the way because
Yeah.
I asked him about that because I thought he was, just because of all the potholes. But it's up to them. They have a lot of discretion about their own design, and I think they're going to take some off and then patch it and then put a new layer on. But when it's done, it's going to be a new road, but it's going to be the same size.
Well, I don't know where all the potholes are, but the one on the curb on Pepperbrook, that has to be more than scraped off and so forth. That has to be dug out, and
Pay extra for
there
your
has to
roads
be
here,
new
so-
base in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I know people that are, and they have told me stuff like that, or otherwise it's going to be another pothole in a year or two. So,
Hopefully they'll do it right.
one thing, and not being a property owner, I don't think anybody would have thought about this, but on the remaining easement, right away, and so forth, I don't know how much it costs asphalt costs, per per square foot or however it's measured. But it'd be, and some of the other residents might have a concrete drive down to the road or asphalt that would, while they're doing this, if we so choose to hire them, to give us blacktop up to the easement, for a discounted price or something, while they're there, you know what I'm driving at?
Yeah.
Where it might cost a couple of grand, where they might do it for $4 or $5. I don't know what the cost
To
is.
go farther up your private property?
Yeah.
No, not our private property, your property.
No, the right of way is
The
usually part
township's
of the
property, the
project.
right of way, the county's.
Yeah, what they usually do is, just part of their policy is, they replace, what's there. So if there's old asphalt there, it gets a whole new treatment of asphalt. So if you have an asphalt driveway, okay,
I don't.
okay,
Oh.
if you have to
Well,
crush
that's
concrete or
He wants
gravel
one.
even, then they put all new down in the right-of-way part, and that's part of the bid.
Okay,
But that's the thing to keep your
so
eye
I'll
on,
get
too.
gravel or crushed concrete?
In the right-of-way portion, yeah, that's a whole new layer gets put in there, and that's all part of the
Okay,
bid.
well, that's what I had planned to do
Yeah.
with crushed concrete, but
Mhm.
yeah, that would.
I would wait until after the project, because I
Yeah,
think
oh, no, I'm
you
going
might have
to.
already paid for it
And
in your taxes.
we'll make sure we get a hold of you and
Yeah.
you can go through that walkthrough. I think it'll answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Take
Okay,
care.
thanks for your comments and your time. Any other one? Any other?
You want to hear from me again?
If you, we'd be happy to, sir. Absolutely.
I have, I have 3 properties. And every time they resurfaced the road or did anything, instead of the water, my driveway draining off into the road drains off into my driveway because they keep on adding and adding. 128, I believe, is 6 inches higher since 1990. So they just roughen it up and recoat it. Roughen it up and recoat it, and they just keep on building up. All the roads that you contract out to have this done should be taken down further than this. Anybody else agree with me? Anybody notice that the roads keep on going up higher and higher? And the drop-offs when they put the gravel in?
I think that might have been what happened. As I was driving Blue Star that day and I got home, I was thinking that, yeah, the last time they resurfaced that, they didn't take into consideration the shoulder, and that it was adding, I don't know, an inch or two to what was draining there, because it looks almost, you can see it when it rains, it looks almost as if it was designed that way, that was where the water was supposed to be. It goes like that. And I can see what you mean about more water draining onto there.
Yeah, well, in general, I can tell you that the county, their engineers, design and have designed this project, which is why you see so much effort behind the design, to make sure those type of issues don't happen in your subdivision. So you shouldn't see. If you happen to have a problem after the road's done, we'll get them back out there, take a look at it, and they'll do what they need to correct it if it's a problem. They've always been good about that. We give the county a lot of money for roads, and we're one of the better customers, so they really do treat us well.
I'll give you an experience, or something that happened. Maybe 10, 12 years ago on 128, they cleaned the ditches for water to drain, and they put a new culvert
Right.
in across 128. And I said, are you going to go any further with that? He says, no. I said, well, why wouldn't you go further? He said, well, the water comes from 66th Street, goes down 128 to the culvert, goes through the culvert, and back to 66th Street. I said, what? You have on 64th Street these great big drains, and that's where the Kalamazoo River drains into Kalamazoo. These people don't know what to do. Nobody, I know, are lost.
Not lost. But we've only paved 128 though once. When was that stretch? You know, because it was gravel road.
128th, we repaved, in 84, I believe was gravel. But since then, it's been redone at least 3 times. So I'm just talking about doing the ditches.
That might be the drain commission too.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to the drain commissioner? I mean, have we replaced the drain commissioner? We had another drain commissioner, or?
So do you have any more questions about your project that we can answer?
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Any other comments regarding this project? Then we'll close the public hearing and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our budget workshop for 2018-2019. This is going to get really interesting, so you all stay here and listen to this. All numbers.
Thrilling moment.
It's thrilling. It's really, I'm on the edge of my seat. Okay. How do you want to go through this?
I can just kind of go through the accounts, Chris, and the revenues.
Okay.
Just to get brain juices here going. I mean, there's no.
You're just kidding, you can leave if you want.
You don't have to stay.
So like, there's no tentative time frame when you would like to do those roads before we go?
They are not, I can tell you, they won't start until we get some resolution of whether or not the culverts are going to be part of it. If they are, then they can start. If they're not, they'll start, but that all affects when they will.
All right, thank you
We
very
will let you
much.
know. Thanks for coming.
But you plan on having it done this year?
Yeah, it's been bid, so,
Right.
you know, contractor has expenses incurred to even get that bid together, it's been accepted. But just for practicality, you know, we want to do it all at one time.
Yeah, they don't want to come in,
Opportunity.
do the roads, and then start the culverts. They want to do it all at one time, which would be the right way to go.
Yeah. It's expected for this construction period.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
go ahead,
we
talk through the
kinda-
draft.
That's what, you know, just in a workshop, if you get any ideas that are to stop me, but I'll try to go through as quick as we can. In your own revenues, in your general fund budget, you know, it's nonprofit industry, and a lot of taxes, a lot of contracts, and things don't typically change from a year-to-year time in your revenues. If you go down, we got property taxes. As you know, we are heavily restricted, so it doesn't really truly matter how much development comes in or out. Our revenue to this office stays about the same. There's a little bit of adjustment in the law for Headley, but we always seem to get about $120,000. You know, our taxable value has dramatically increased along with those other demands for services. That's partly the challenge of a general law township. We are not 3 square miles, you know, we're 36. There's a little bit of a deduction there in the lake shore, but
I wish, just to comment, I wish we could get that message across, because so many people in the township think that we're washing new revenue because of new developments. It makes sense, it's logical, and I thought that way until I got on the board. So we only get what the state, we have to get cut back, so your millage gets cut back, so we get about the same revenue, even though the taxable value has gone way up. We're working with the same dollars we did years ago. And that's because of this state Headley event. Headley. I hear it so often, people say, well, gee, you're going to get that huge development, and look at all the benefit to the township.
That's for the general, but as far as the extra voted millages, those are,
Yeah, the extra voted will
the
pick up.
roads are rolled back.
School.
Too, unless you do a renewal.
Yeah. Well, most of it's rolled
Done a
back.
renewal one.
We don't see it. Your millage, but the benefit is your millage decreases to make that happen. So it's a benefit to us in that sense.
If you renew your millage, even for specials, they're reduced. You have to run for a new millage to get the old mill amount that's pre-Headley. So all of our roads are Headley too. Like they're down to Well, if you look at the millage rates, yeah, I mean, they're way below 1, and they started at 1. You know, so it's affecting the cemeteries too. It's not a quarter mil anymore. It's like 0.23. So if you want to get back up to the millage, that's another discussion. That's a budget talk for election times. If you want to go for the quote renewal, or if you want to go for a new millage at the old amount, which is an increase in the eyes of the assessing departments and things. That's always a hotly debated thing. Is a renewal the original amount? It's not. It's a renewal of the heavily restricted amount or not. But yeah, so to just keep going, your street light tax is the district amount that pays out to Consumers Energy. We have homestead denials. Those are when people have PREs and they lose their PREs and they have to pay back. The township, again, $2,500. It can vary depending on just the amount of homestead denials are approved. You don't really know for sure, so we try to keep it either at the same or at a conservatively low amount. Penalties, taxes on interest usually have the same, 5,000. Tax administrative fee, that's your lorries, 1%. About your business, a little licensing and permits. We did away with the licensing requirements for businesses just because there wasn't a lot of them, and it created kind of a legal liability when that was about 5 years ago, I think. Where it was advised to just kind of drop the requirement if it isn't, unnecessary in our area. Going down, cable TV, it went up a little bit this last year, but it was at 28, so I split the difference at 33. That can go up or down based on the revenue of our cable franchise agreements. Rental dwelling permits are a nice new thing. I think it's worked out well as far as the fire safety inspections go. We instituted this ordinance a while ago, and it's worked very well, I think. As far as complaints have gone down, Steve said that it is being administered pretty cleanly between us and the fire department and the renters and the agents of the renters. He's gotten a lot of compliments on it, and it does kick in a little bit of revenue to help pay for the legal and for the administrative fee of doing the rental properties. That's a big thing down in Casco now too. They're doing a referendum, I believe, on their ballot over this issue. It's a hot issue too in the cities, but I think here it's worked well. Building permits were up. That was in the paper too from Al's report. But again, I like to see 3-4 years of a trend before you up your revenues. You want to keep your revenues low, especially in a general township. You really got to justify increasing your revenue amount, because if your revenues are high and you get through the year and you're taking a cash draw to cover difference, you're in a situation where I think your budget's too off. You really want your revenues low, and if there's any margin for error, you want that to be in a plus, not in a negative. Not too low, but accurate, but conservatively low. That's kind of why, the cable tax is split and not at the 44,000 there. Where's the cable? At the 38,000, it's only at the 33 in a nutshell. Sales income tax is actually projected to be a little bit more from the state, but the last time I checked on the website, it was supposed to be at 236 and put 228. Again, the same amount of reason. It would be nice to see that increase for 3 years before you bump it up in the revenue, in my opinion. So I kept it at 228, and then we should see that last amount coming in at the very end of June. That's why it's only 215. But there's always that really late payment, but it always is in our fiscal year. That's the major portions of our revenue. Rents is a special thing. We do not get paid cash by the MESP or by the MSP for the state police. That is to show an amount of expense in and out for the state treasury department. So it's in our budget, but they do not pay us $12,000. It's $12,000 shown as a revenue and as an expense. So
Who's conducting our liquor inspections?
that is the state police. Steve did our last one after talking to them about their procedures and stuff. When we took on some more office hours for Steve. Steve is the chief enforcement officer. Steve can write tickets. Steve can do a report to the treasury department. He did the last one. The state police did the one prior to that. Expenses that incurred for Steve's department are in 420 Department of Planning and Zoning. So again, that's a thing that has always been in there. The auditor kind of likes it because it's kind of a donation for us to allow that office space to exist, and there's a clear service that's very valuable. It's just not, there's not in dollars or revenue.
Well, they used to do liquor inspections for us, which was kind of a gesture of...
Yep. And I'm sure they would too. You know, I mean, if Steve can't do it, the state calls that out, I'm sure they would.
I mean, the constable did it before that, but we haven't had a constable in a long time.
The lease for the CBS billboard went up, so that's a little bit more money there. All in all, our revenues are up. I would expect them to be slightly over than what is seen on this report. Not too much, but a little bit conservatively over at the end of the fiscal year. So that's all she wrote for revenues. I think if you got a question to each of these, you could dive into 10 years, 5, 7, 3, and kind of see the trends. But if you want to talk about a certain activity, in our budget, they're broken down by department. You can see where everyone's salary is. It's not hard to see that information in our worksheets. And then when this, when I have your feedback, I can put it in the actual budget draft that then would be heard at a true budget hearing and Appropriations Act hearing to be approved. And then that goes on and dispersed to the public and kept in the permanent record as our actual budget. Departments, of course you all know by now that we do a departmental approval. Each department total is a mini budget in itself in our budget style. We do not have a line item budget or by department, so your department should stay in budget. You shouldn't be over. All your typical activities inside, outside the office that are paid for by taxes are included in this budget.
Are we going to need to do any amendments for next fiscal year?
Prior to the next, for our current year, I would anticipate one more.
Okay.
Didn't want to, but we got hit with a over-anticipated amount of legal.
Yeah.
That is, so it's only for 2 departments. So, I mean, if you imagine, like, if you take the instance of, say, Cal Lake Fire Department, I think the interurban, they do not have departments. They have funds. So if they go over a certain line in a fund, it can be compensated for if there's an overage in another line. But in our type of budget, we have departmental totals that must be heard. So if any one of those go over, you have to do a budget amendment to compensate if there's more money in the other department.
So the reason I asked that...
Are you going to propose?
No, I'm just a general question.
Yeah.
So our attorney fees are projected at 32, but we're going to budget for 20. Is that because we're anticipating we're not going to have as many legal issues to defend, or what?
Yeah, there were 3 big ones in this year. There was, of course, the IFC.
Right.
There was the North Shore Assisted Counsel
Right.
to the Insurance Council. and then there was the Clearbrook and Ravines tax appeal.
Okay.
Those were big expenses. And expenses through the legal, if you don't spend the legal, it could always cost you more, or there could be a threat to your citizens or something. So it's hard to budget for legal. It's always the cost that drives every other cost in the budget, I'd say, besides healthcare, it's your legal expenses. Planning and legal. They're the hardest to budget for. They either make or break your budget each year, it seems like.
So I know we went through this last year, but there's still a constable on here for 12,000? That's the 12,000 we get from the state
That's
police?
just shown as the 12 in on the revenue and then the 12 out. There is no difference. So it's important to see that, I think, to just know that that's in and out money to show that this does have a true expense on this budget. It's just not, there's not a surplus, there isn't, a deficit in that account. That's
I don't
what it
recall
was.
what we used to get from Wiley, but we got a pretty good chunk of money for leasing that space, I know.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
would
agree it should be reflected, is that some money
Yeah.
that we're losing. And I do agree that they do serve, and they have served in a constable fashion for us,
That makes sense.
They do. I mean, there's a presence here that cannot be denied.
I don't know if any of our residents knew this, but if you call them when you're on vacation, they'll come by and check on your house
You can drive by.
in the township. Yep,
Didn't know that.
yes, they will. They'll drive up your driveway. Yep.
Even in the wintertime?
Well, they have permission.
Especially in the winter,
Yeah.
yeah, on the lake shore with all the.
They're real good,
homes.
they like having a post here, they like living in the neighborhood.
Good, I'll call them next one.
I would like, there's two departments in here that I would like to initiate a discussion.
Let's do that, if
It's-
everybody agrees. Okay.
It's the same discussion for both. We have in our clerk, and elected clerk, and our elected treasurer, and I had to learn this 5 years ago, they get two salaries. One is a elected official salary, and that's a much smaller portion of their total, but they also get the main salary they receive is an administrative salary. And it dawned on me this year that over the last at least 5 years since they've been on the board and I have, they've been elected, they've been getting a COLA increase, but only on the administrative portion of their salary. So if you add the two together, they have been falling behind cost of living. And what triggered this was the fire budget when we looked at the standard 2.2% COLA increase, cost of living increase. It dawned on me that they were not receiving that. So I'd like to see how the rest of the board feels about it.
So the exception to that is the supervisor, because back when Hank was here, he had the full amount, and he split off a portion of his salary and agreed to do so that we could hire Phil Quanti as a manager, so the administrative salary there is the manager's salary.
Right.
And as far as the elected official salaries, they've been that way for some time.
Oh, yeah. Well, longer than
And
5 years.
Very purposefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that.
That's why.
So I guess the
Yep.
potential solution would be to increase the amount so that the overall effect is 2.2 rather than 1.7, which is the way it works out now. And we have just been doing that as an automatic thing, and I don't think we should continue. There comes a point where we should stop doing that. Yeah, on the summary sheet on the back, treasurer and clerk are both, when you look at the total effect, they're getting 1.7%. Township manager COLA increase 2.2, assessor 2.2, zoning administrator 2.2. So I'd like to see what the rest of the board thinks about that. Seems like we could increase that to make it 2.2. Should do it.
Well, one thing you could do is leave the
Administrative, leave
let's see,
elected the same.
the elected the same. and
Right,
then
I get into that issue.
Right.
Right, and increase the administrative portion.
And then you'll be answering questions about why you're getting such a big COLA increase, so.
Well,
Again, it was very purposeful as to why this was done,
yeah,
to keep the elected official salaries stable. But I mean, if you guys want to, look at that, I guess we can. I don't want mine raised,
yeah. No, I'm thinking they haven't done it for 5 years, so they really have, each year have fallen behind on a COLA increase. And it seems like a simple thing to do, to increase the administration portion of it, to make it up to 2.2. I didn't do the math, but that's a simple thing.
Personally, I'd like to see more money put into attorney fees, because I think we're going to spend it. I think we'll spend more than 20, but,
20 for planning and legal, because there's another department too for legal.
okay, there is.
Yeah, that's just a portion.
I'm just looking at this marijuana ordinance,
Legal is.
sand mining.
Can ding in that department, for the planning and zoning.
Okay, so you had it covered
And
there?
then township board, all legal for stuff outside of chapter 40.
Okay.
And then there's,
Where's that attorney fees? You got another 20 there, okay.
yeah, so I mean, a true look at the attorney fees, some hit escrow accounts, like for bigger developments. Some hit
Right.
planning and zoning only. Some can do both, like if your expenses started planning and zoning, but then they go into the board. But that's why all of our invoices are itemized on our legal, because
No, I'm good with that.
each one, yeah.
At least if we had to do a budget amendment, the money's there.
Yeah.
So I'm
it's
good with it.
I don't want to put too much in that one account because it truly is planning and zoning, and then it grows into like a township board thing or an assessing department.
Right.
We took that out of legal. There's a legal account in the assessing department, but we took that out of the assessing department because it was throwing off all of our other costs.
Well,
You
tax
know,
one, tax
and
tribunal,
Assessing
yeah.
is a different, it's an office job, and then you get a legal cost that would throw off the whole department budget. So you're like, why did it take $100 grand to do an assessing department? Well, there was a legal thing. So now all of the legal is in the legal, and then all the planning and zoning attorney stuff is in planning and zoning.
Well, back on what I started, I imagine it's uncomfortable for Brad or Lori to opine on this. They're, in a sense, upping their own salary, but I just don't see any logic that would explain why they shouldn't have a COLA increase of 2.2% if we're doing it for everybody else. To me, it's very cut and dry. And I'd feel very comfortable explaining it to anybody in the township. They're just falling behind each year by not doing this.
Okay. Well, we can consider it in this year's budget or next, whatever.
I would think that this is a great time to do it because this is only our budget workshop, and if we had it in the budget, then we'd have something to vote on in June for the new year. It's not too late to do it. Do we need a motion from me, or do we need?
I don't think so. It's just something that
We have general agreement or disagreement. I don't know.
I
where
just
we're
don't
at.
do it to my department. Other than that, I'm good with it.
Yeah, just give me some direction, I mean, it helps everything to have that original draft, at least try to get it passed the first time. That's why we do a workshop, so if that's your consensus, I can do the math, there's no problem there.
Make the necessary adjustments where.
You're talking about, a sum of money for the sake of we have an itemized out breakdown of all of our positions. It's always been there. They're at 1.7 now. So you're literally talking about 0.3% of a $50,000 salary is not a lot.
0.5%.
Yeah, you're not talking about a lot of money. We're talking about, just to do the math, it's under $1,000. Point
percent would be like $500.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not 0.5% though, it's 0.3%.
So I would put it in the.
It's at 1.7 now, so it's about 0.3% on the,
get it.
Oh, it's 2.2, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's 5.
So it's 0.5. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
for the amount of money that we're talking about, an employee pay package, you know, that is everything, it's a small amount, it's kind of more of a gesture than just spread out over 12 months, you're talking, you know, it's not an incredible amount of money, but.
Does anybody have any other questions about the draft? I've gone through it, it looks really good. Good job, Aaron.
Did you put in the lights that Roy's been talking about? The lights that we get.
Yeah, under capital improvement?
Upgrades, there's not, I did not do that. And, you know, that was more or less, there is a significant bump in the MERS deposit, I would say, for the annual, which was planned. That went from, that's in other functions on the last page.
Okay.
If you look at MERS, it went from 56,000 annual.
What page is that, Aaron?
That's on page 5 of the worksheet. But,
60?
yeah, it's a 60. We could put that in, I would say, just because of our Second Amendment, because of the legal. I felt real nervous about doing it just because of that Second Amendment. And that was, it's going to be at least, I'd say, $15,000 at least to get through the end of this current year. You know, and I would still project at the end after our audit of some to go back into our general fund. But, I mean, those expenses always come at a cost. And that's what I think the cost was, at least in this budget.
Help me out, I'm confused. You got the MERS retirement. We have been criticized for not being properly funded. As I understand it, we have to wait until we get a new audit. And MERS to come up with what, and we expect that to be lower than anticipated.
Yeah.
So this 60,000 budgeted is.
Yeah, that's, we have a letter from MERS that's updated that came to the office. And if we up our annual amount even, it will short, you know, how long it takes to get to our goal. You know, MERS wants to be 100% funded. I think, you know, the board has a fund balance policy for the #1 priority is for that amount to be funded what you want it to be comfortably.
Right.
You know, there are different financial advisors. You may have one in front of you here in the audience. Doesn't know anything about our MERS account, but
the bottom line is our government has revenues that are going to come forward
Yeah,
for a number of years, so you don't want to go
that
nuts.
number alone, aside from the total amount,
Yeah.
is
You want to be
irresponsible,
reasonable. You
because
want
the
to be
township
reasonable.
is not a huge employer.
Yeah.
You're talking about a percentage of a relatively small amount of money
I agree.
when it comes to an unfunded liability.
So right now, we're comfortable with the 60,000.
It can be done either way. I mean, you have the resources now to do a large cash dump into your MERS if you want to. I mean, and if we should probably grab that out if you want to set a goal. You know, Brad has reached out to Mr. Overlay, who's our MERS agent. If you want to up that goal to something ultra high, I would say, or if you want to do the annual amount, which is easier to budget. I upped it to 60. I'm kind of just taking that step now. It's like, okay, let's up that to 60. And that will short how much time it takes to get to a reasonable goal. You know, over your 60%, which for a small township, you know, if you have that cash balance, is that what you want it to be? You know, is that responsible for what the board wants? You can take a look at that and see exactly, but I think the 60 amount can be done in this budget and you fully fund your other services. And then if you want to do a cash dump on top of that, you know, then take a look at that time it's going to take to get to 65 mile an hour. You know, maybe talk about it now. I mean, are you comfortable at a 70%? What do you think?
I don't think you want to get crazy about it. I'd like to look farther into, but right now, I'm comfortable with that, and we also dropped 15 that we no longer owe the Village of Douglas, right?
Every year.
Yeah, well, it's gone,
Yeah.
so that's good.
And
So we
yeah,
have,
we should have a
places to go.
discussion within a month with our MERS agent.
Yeah, that's the overlay
That's why-
gentleman who
Let's
has
think
the
it's too
numbers
soon
and-
to have.
Let them give us an idea where they think we are, because we had this discussion back when I was a trustee. And we did make an adjustment at that time, but it wasn't crazy. It was like,
Yeah, you really don't want to overshoot a
no,
number.
because it takes away from somewhere else. I hate
Yeah.
to say it like legal fees.
Yeah.
You know, that
There's
you have
not
a lot of.
people on the plan. It
Right.
might be a lower percentage of a number, but if you put it in context, it's it. But we do have a significant increase in the budget now. So that's already done in this.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you want to go more, I think you ought to wait until you talk to Mr.
Yeah, and I think for now,
Overlay.
that's a good bump.
Yeah,
Yep.
sounds good to
I'm
me.
glad we had the discussion, that's all. Just so-
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
issue always. Benefits, pay.
Anybody have any other issues they want to call out? Again, I think it was a good job, very well defined by account.
Well, we were talking about Aaron that put the streetlights in that Roy was been talking about.
Was
the
that
last
going to go out of
2
capital
I
outlay
got the
fund?
whole proposal.
What's that?
I worked on that for a while, you know.
Oh,
The
the streetlight?
streetlights. that
It's
you're
about
buying.
$10,000, but I mean, again, we're gonna have to do that in our legals. And I thought about all of that was the number one project that we have been talking about. I got the proposal, did all the mapping, I got it to the guy at Consumers Energy. We looked to do a reimbursement grant program from the state, which actually was only a few $100s, but I'd say if you got the money, it's responsible to wait. If you have the money, if we're cruising through the next fiscal year and we don't have these huge,
Later.
expenses, can always come back to that project.
Right,
It doesn't
Alright.
have to be in July.
yeah.
Consumers can do that at any time. I think they'll even do it in the winter. It's just.
What's the return on
changing that.
investment for that 10 grand?
It's like just under 10 years, but that's
So we'll have to do that.
hard because you gotta pay the difference in the replacement for the LED. They replace the high pressure sodium and the phosphate lights now without that cost,
Mm-hmm.
but I do not believe that consumers will take on the replacement cost of an LED. But the technology improves each year to replace them and then drops the cost.
They have a
So-
longer lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think we have to go through that analysis. We're saving on energy, but we do have this replacement cost that we didn't have before. We're being more environmental stewards, yes. I don't know about color rendition and how that affects what people might see. The LED technology has gotten significantly better,
Yeah,
significantly.
even since we first looked into it, the price dropped. But you never know, like, is there gonna be a big advancement? LED, I think the government got involved with Consumers Energy. And it's hard to say for sure if it's 10 or 8 years, but expect a 10-year return. Opportunity lost is hard to imagine though. Like if you invested that amount of money for 10 years in another investment, it's a conservation environmental project. You're not really going to get the money back in 10 years confidently, but look at it as if you're spending $10,000 to save electricity. And if you make up the money because of these other issues, then great.
Okay.
I'm fine with the way it is right now.
Okay, Roy.
Any other issues with the budget that need to be discussed? If not, I'll move on. So these people get home to dinner, it's only 8:20.
Don't worry, we ate before we started.
Okay, so we'll go on next to resolution of support for construction of sidewalk extension. So this has, I think we should move forward with this for sure. There's been a little bit of a hiccup in that, but we should move forward. You want to tell us about this
Yeah,
resolution?
we have two. They both involve the North Connection project.
Right.
The first is the resolution, MDOT's grant requirement is to create a permanent route That would involve a sidewalk that was added to the original project. So the resolution is to commit to the construction of that on Cemetery Road, on the north side of Cemetery Road.
Can we get your phone numbers before you leave? Can you write it down for us? No.
We'll see you at the cafe.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead now.
Okay, thanks.
So that's the resolution to commit to the construction of the Cemetery Road and sidewalk. The current discussion now is that it would come up the side of the trail that comes up the Elementary Park and then turn to the west on the Cemetery Road. It would be on the north side of Cemetery Road and extend directly, west to our existing trail on Holland Street. So that's the first one. And the second one is then to commit to the local matching funds of our project in the north connection that calls out the sidewalk project. And then there's a itemized amount in the therefore part on the second page that you would resolve to. It gives just a summary of the total cost, the TAP grant amount, estimated amount for the total connection project, the DNR trust fund amount, the Friends of the Blue Star Trail match amount, and then the anticipated Saugatuck Township local match. That portion of the $27,000 total is what the board anticipates to participate in the project. There's the $10,000 for the Cemetery Road sidewalk that is involved in this grant, and then there would be the remaining that would and could include the sidewalk on Old Allegan Road. So the amount anticipated, so I'm very clear from the township, is $27,000 to come out of our park systems fund, I call it. That is the assigned amount of money that the board has provided to the Parks Commission essentially to make a recommendation. And they do recommend that these funds be allocated or called out by the township board for these projects. So they don't make the final decision, the Parks Commission, but it's kind of important for them to give a recommendation because that's why we took the money out of the general fund to put in that fund in the first place. And that comes with their blessing. On this, it says 10, and then the anticipation is the 17 added on to this. But this here is the 10, because only that particular sidewalk can be a part of the TAP grant, because that is the part of the sidewalk that is a permanent route, not a possible interim route. John's here, and you sat through this whole thing. You want to say anything?
Not necessarily. I think, I'm not focused. These are low-volume roads. We could discuss whether there's safety, but the focus is to provide safe routes for all users. The Friends support that. I think it's worth doing.
Well, we've basically talked about this quite a bit, so I would make a motion to approve the resolution to the sidewalk, public right-of-way sidewalk, Cemetery Road to Holland Street. So
That would be a roll call type of vote.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second?
Motion's been submitted and seconded. We'll go to a roll call vote.
Rudick, yes. McElwain?
yes.
Rohr?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Levinsky?
Yes.
Motion carried. Move on to item D, resolution of commitment of local public funds for township grant. This is what we just talked about.
Yeah, it's kind of a 1-2.
Yep.
It's the same involved project. It's the North Connection project. It involves the Friends, the DNR Trust Fund, TAP grant, that's the MDOT. But it's important when you deal with the money to have it all out. It's called out in a separate resolution, and you wouldn't be acting to approve the money to match the grant to build it unless you approve to build it first. So you've done that now. So now you can do this and pay for it, essentially.
I have a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll move the resolution of commitment to local matching public funds for township grant projects that includes construction of sidewalks.
I would second that.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, then we should also do a roll call vote.
Kaminsky.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Rohrig.
Yes.
McElwain.
Yes.
Rudick, yes.
Motion carried. Public comments? Being none, I will adjourn this meeting.